Welcome to the Yeah We Know podcast, part of the Morganos Podcasting Network. You're in the ring with Jimmy, Chris, and Rod, and we are live here on YouTube, X, and Facebook. Any questions, comments, concerns, throw them in the chat for me. As always, we are here for you. And as always, Chris has an old man take that is sure to get the show started off on the right foot.
Hamburger. All right. Sheamus came out there looking like Wimpy, saying, I will gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. All right.
Wow.
Sheamus needs to get back in the gym. Let's get rid of that hamburger gut and let's get back to bangers.
Rod, he has waited a week to say that, to give a reference you know what? It is kind of our demographic, so they might get it. I don't know.
Listen, Chris is doubling down on this. I like it, right? I mean, actually, if you want to really get technical, this is like a centuple, like a 10. What's 10 times down, right? Like this is just more Drew McIntyre propaganda out of our boy here. He's never going to say a bad word about him. And quite frankly, I can't hate it. I did it about Seth Rollins for a long time. Jimmy, you do it about DIY. You do it about Butch. You know, I guess it's not Butch anymore. It's Pete Dunne. I can't believe I just
Pete
called
Dunne,
him
baby. Pete Dunne. So,
right.
Rod,
it's fine. It's expected.
Rod, what are you hot about tonight? Because I have a feeling I know what it is.
I'm hot about the draft. I'm absolutely hot about the draft. Every year they sucker me in. They do all this pomp and circumstance. Hey, let's announce the date of the WWE draft. Night 1 will happen on SmackDown, and it will be rounds 1 through 4. And then 6 more rounds will happen on Raw. And only a certain number of superstars will be eligible in this night. And only a certain number of superstars will be eligible in this night. And it all boils down to a whole heap of nothing. Okay? A whole heap of nothing. The biggest pop of the night from the draft comes from the Dudley Boys coming out and just reciting old lyrics. All right? I mean, they're just reciting old lyrics. They're doing karaoke, essentially, coming out there with the tables and what's up and all the above. So the draft is just nothing. Congratulations to NXT superstars. I'm wearing my Shawn Michaels Heartbreak Kid shirt in honor of the NXT superstars who got called up. But even some of them, to me, didn't seem to be incredibly charismatic. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. All of them not named Ilya Dragunov, of course, Jimmy.
We are an Ilya Dragunov podcast, Chris. I don't even care if you don't know how to say his name or not. You're going to root for him.
Okay, so I was going to be upset with Rod. Of course, he's upset about something, but you should be happy for that exact reason, Rod. If nothing else, this draft brings up guys that we've heard about, especially me, from people like Jimmy who watches NXT or the Cleveland Crippler. They'll say, like, hey, Braun Breaker is a guy you need to watch out for. Hey, Dragunov is a dude that you should be rooting for. All right? Even Blair... I can't think of her last name. Darn it.
Blair.
Davenport, isn't it Davenport?
Yes, I think so. So, like, we should be excited for these individuals that get called up and, like, they're making their debut. So, like, let's get them a chance. I, for one, am excited to see a Braun versus Braum matchup. All right. I imagine we'll see that some point in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the draft overall is kind of hit and miss. They actually started off pretty cool with Carmelo Hayes coming out. That was kind of neat. But other than that, really, it didn't do too much for me because we all kind of know it. Right now, we don't think it's going to mean anything. Speaking of not meaning anything, Backlash is this Saturday. Can you imagine having a pay-per-view this close to WrestleMania? Because we have to every month. Backlash. A lot of interesting matches, and we'll get into it. We still don't know the entire card. I think it's going to be at like 2:00 again in the afternoon because it is from France, so that would be nice. We have the big match, Damian Priest versus Jey Uso for the World Heavyweight Championship. Rod, is your boy Damian Priest going to retain, or is the Yeet magnet himself, Jey Uso, going to finally win the World Championship?
I'm really torn on this here, Jimmy. I'm really torn on this.
Really?
Here. I honestly, I am, and I'll tell you why. I'd like to think we live in a world where we're going to see one of these belts go on a journey, right? I mean, we've just had so many long reigns with stuff not named tag team belts. All right. Sure. I understand that the tag team belts get passed around like a hot potato, but every other belt has basically been saddled on somebody for a while. And it seems as if the US championship is going to be saddled on Logan Paul, right? We have no signs that we're going to end Cody's story here. So is it Sammy? Is it Damian Priest? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Is it one of the women? I just feel like one of these belts is going to change hands quickly. Maybe not here at Backlash, but I just have this feeling in my bones that somebody's going to lose their belt faster than we think.
I think Backlash is way too quick, especially if you want to have Damian Priest, establish as that main eventer. Chris, do you think this would be a good time? Because I will say Jey Uso has a lot of heat right now, very hot. He might be on a list coming up in a little while. Chris, what do you think?
I think Damian Priest keeps the belt. I really do. This is going to go back to me thinking that you still need some heels to hold on to some major belts. And right now, this is the only real heel besides Logan Paul, which I think we all agree isn't going to lose the belt yet. So I think Damian keeps this belt. I think Jey Uso is not yet main event.
Whoa!
Jey Uso.
Literally his name, main event Jey Uso. I'm waiting.
Show the man's respect, Chris.
I know we're an audio podcast mostly, but I'm waiting.
Not yet main event.
Literally his name.
This isn't the main event of Backlash, is it?
What is the main event of Backlash? Because Cody Rhodes might be hurt. Who knows? Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles. I think if both of them are healthy, I think they're going to have a terrific match. You're going to see a lot of great moves. You're going to see what Rod loves, great wrestling matches with no storyline. That is Rod's number one thing to look at. Cody's going to retain here. There's no way AJ wins, which kind of stinks because no one thinks that's going to happen. Right, Rod?
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice work, right? We want everybody to be employed. And so
Sure.
As we talk about all the time, not everybody can win. So I just, AJ Styles has settled into this like, hey, we all understand your resume. We all know you're a big deal. You still get some pops, but like, hey, bud, you're coming out to be down on your back. So thank you very much. I was kind of surprised that he dispatched of LA Knight and got this match, but then, AJ Styles is a trusted hand. Put him up against Cody Rhodes, give Cody Rhodes the first notch on his belt, and let's move on.
Chris, if AJ Styles wrestled Kevin Owens, would the match ever end with a winner?
No, they never give up and it just go on forever, right?
Yeah, you've got Cody winning this one, right?
Oh, of course. And to Rod's point, I'm glad LA Knight didn't beat AJ Styles because we all knew that Cody was going to win this match, whoever he fought. And I'd rather him take out an AJ Styles than LA Knight.
All right, makes sense to me. What about, Rod? We have Bayley versus Tiffy Time versus Naomi in a very interesting feud here. Again, I don't see this is kind of weird for Backlash because there's no way Bayley's losing this match. There's no way, right?
You're putting me in an odd position here, Jimmy. We all know that I love Tiffy Time, but
yeah,
the elephant in the room in this match is why is Tiffany Stratton here, right? I love Tiffany Stratton, and I'm not ever going to say to anyone, don't put Tiffany Stratton on my TV, but Naomi makes sense to me, right? She's kind of slowly getting over a little bit as a babyface, right? Which is awfully tough these days, right? Like she gets some reactions. People aren't sick of her right now. She's wrestling a little bit better than her early debuts back in the WWE. All right. She seems to be getting her wind back under her. She seems to be a little bit more trusting of her opponents in the ring there. So she's upping her game there. So Naomi makes sense to me. I hate having to say, why is Tiffany Stratton here? But that's what I think about this match, Chris. Why is Tiffany Stratton here?
Because it's Tiffy Time, Rod.
Oh, thank you. Dynamite.
She is getting primed, I think, for a title run of some sort, probably soon. I don't think it's yet. I think you have this triple threat match to maybe hide some otherwise what could be lull moments in a match if it was just Bayley and Naomi.
Tiffany Stratton is going to be the number one heel in the company one day with a title and have a very long reign because she just has that look to her that everyone can hate and everyone can love, and they will hate her so much. And I can't wait for that, but it is not the time yet. Is it the time though, Chris, for Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill to defeat the Kabuki Warriors for the tag team championships?
No. Because didn't Bianca and Jade just get drafted to different brands?
No, they're on the same. They're on the both. I think they're both.
No, they're on different brands, but the women's tag team is like they made
Oh,
a
they are?
distinct point of pointing that out, that the women's
Yeah.
tag team belts can go wherever they want.
I still think Kabuki Warriors keep a hold of the belts here. I don't think Jade's ready to have a belt on her. I think let's get her some more real work, some real one-on-one matches. Let her take on the other women on her brand right now and get more matches and get her to be able to build up some heat, because I think she's already got a lot of heat behind her.
Okay, Rod. I have an idea where you're going with this. What do you got?
Chris, you're so wrong, my friend.
Yep,
You're
I
so
agree.
wrong. You're so wrong. You're just so wrong. There's a couple of things you
Oh.
got to look at here. All right. When a tag team champ and an IC champ, when a belt holder is basically non-existent from TV for a couple of weeks, which the Kabuki Warriors have been, that is not a great sign. And Chris, my friend, Jimmy made reference of it earlier in the pod. Wrestling matches are great, but that doesn't matter. Heat matters way more. And Bianca and Jade have huge amounts of heat right now. They're taking the Kabuki Warriors down.
Yeah, Chris, I loved your comments there, but I completely disagree on every one of them. I think this is a very good opportunity to showcase Jade with not doing too much, because she's still a little raw in there. Bianca can do anything that's asked of her, so she's going to take most of the heat actually, and then also get Jade ready to come in and get the wins. I think this is actually a really good idea to put the titles on them, to make the titles mean something. They will get a lot more TV time this way, especially on SmackDown. So I think that's what's going to happen. But hey, Rod and I have been wrong before, Chris. You've been right once or twice.
Maybe once or twice.
That's what I
Listen,
said once or twice.
I also believe that I made reference to this being where Jade needed to go, like when she first burst upon the scene. So
I think literally with Bianca too, I think is what you were saying.
Okay,
which is
so here's my question then.
sure.
If the WWE creative had this idea going into Backlash, they would have known that before the draft. Why not then make it so that they are both drafted to the same brand that they want those belts to be at?
Again, it's they can go to any brand because there's only one. Kind of like the Usos were able to, and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn when they were the unified champions. There's only one tag team belt, so they can go to any brand, including NXT. So that's, I think, why they did it. After they lose, then they would revert back to their other brands. I think that's where they're going with that, Chris.
All the things that you want to see, Chris, are going to come to us. They're just going to come after Jade gets a little more heat and a little more showcasing here with Bianca as the tag champ.
Big match for the Bloodline. Solo and Tamatanga. I can never say his name right. The MGT.
Tonga Vailoa. It's Tonga Vailoa. I thought we talked about this.
Solo and Tua versus Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. My boy's getting a pin here. The Bloodline has to win. They need to kind of solidify themselves without Roman Reigns, Rod.
But why? Like, you're not wrong. But
I don't know, but they do. Because we need the moment Roman Reigns comes back to be the biggest pop of 2024. And that's saying something, because there's been some big pops.
No, you're right about that. And I definitely want that. I'm the Roman Reigns fan on this podcast more than either of you two knuckleheads. So I definitely want that. But it's tough. It's tough for me to think we're going to live in a world where Solo and Tonga Vailoa are going to matter to anybody. So like you think that KO is going to take a pin here, but I think we're also going to have a lot in this match that is going to make Randy Orton come out smelling like a bunch of roses and looking like $1 million and possibly setting him up for something, because he is somebody that, speaking of heat and speaking of lists that are coming up, you guys might be surprised at where I have old Randy Orton on mine.
Okay. Chris, who you got?
I think, so I am rooting for KO, Randy Orton.
Yep.
100%. However, I'll say this. If Tua or Tonga and Solo...
No, it's Tua. It's Tua. Yeah, go ahead.
If they lose, I care so little about that story. However, if they win, I'll probably care a little bit more. Still rooting for KO and Randy Orton. Let's go.
I think they got to win. And finally, honestly, this is kind of the biggest feud out of it. Chad Gable, Sami Zayn. They are going back and forth. I loved what they did with Sami Zayn and Gable, where Sami just Halua kicked him right in the face in the backstage area last week. Sami Zayn's going to win, but I think it's going to be a heck of a match, Rod.
Why is Sami Zayn going to win? Why do you guys do this to Chad Gable every time? Why is it always assumed that Chad Gable will never win? Can't we live in a world where Chad Gable finally puts gold around his waist as an individual wrestler in the WWE? I refuse to
No.
believe that Chad Gable can't win. Sami Zayn has already been set up as an underdog, not an unbeatable champion. If there was ever somebody that Chad Gable was set up enough to take down and it matters and works in storyline, it's this one. I'm going with Chad Gable, damn it.
Let's go. Chris, you got Gable or Zayn?
I got Chad Gable.
Whoa!
Give me
All
Gable.
right.
All right, and this is the biggest reason why I'm not that big of a Sami Zayn fan right now, to be honest. So I'm not going to really root for him. I kind of like Gable as a character away from the Alpha Academy a little bit more as well. So I'm going to root for Gable.
Chris is stealing my gimmick of liking heels all of a sudden, Jimmy.
Okay. How about this? How about Chad Gable beat Sami Zayn this week for the Intercontinental Championship? And then in 2 weeks, Sami Zayn beats Chad Gable for the Intercontinental Championship. And they then culminate in a ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship to kind of blow off the feud. Something like that I could see happening. That'd be kind of cool.
Yes, let's lock these guys up as kind of our go-to feud for the summer, right? You said yourself Cody might be injured. We just rushed him into a thing with AJ, so we certainly have no story to tell with him, right? Main event Jey Uso still getting a bunch of pops. And why not Sammy and Chad are our summer crush, summer loving. Had me a blast. Grease.
Let's go. Let's go, Grease. Chris, I know you are a fan of the Heat List that we have done in the past, and we are going to do another Heat List now for our new listeners. What is the Heat List? Well, every few months, Rod, Chris, and myself get together and we say who has the biggest or the most heat in the WWE. Do you remember on October 31st, 2023, Halloween, gentlemen, who was our number one heat in the WWE? Do you have any recollection?
I'm going to guess that it's the same person we have at number one on our list right now. That's what I'm going to guess.
That is incorrect.
It was Seth Rollins, was it not?
That is incorrect.
Oh.
On October 31st, 2023, the number one heat person in the WWE was L.A. Knight. Yeah.
There's no way I agreed with that. We've got to go back and listen. There's no way I agree with that.
There was some discussions. There was some very, very bad discussions actually in our heat list. Number 2 was Cody Rhodes. Number 3 was Dominic Mysterio, bumped down from number 1 the one previous. Rhea Ripley was number 4. We're going to see any of these 4 again. Seth Rollins was number 5. Gunther was number 6. Sami Zayn was number 7. Charlotte was number 8. John Cena was number 9. And in the most contentious that the 3 of us have got with each other, I think, in anything in this podcast, Roman Reigns was number 10. And I quote myself, you cannot have someone who's been the world champion for 3 years not on the heat list.
Yeah. That's just, we basically just told on ourselves how fraudulent that this list is right there with just some of those. I mean, my goodness, what were we thinking?
Did not want, well, at the time though, you've got to remember at the time, these people were hot. Are they now? Let's go to the board. We have a ton of people that we can go through. So I'm going to throw somebody out right now. We're each going to throw somebody out, and I'm going to say where I think they belong. Okay. I think Chris's boy, Sami Zayn. Okay. Sami Zayn. I think Sami Zayn belongs at number 4 on the heat list. I think Sami Zayn has been an amazing competitor this year, coming off a huge Intercontinental Championship match. Sami Zayn is number 4 on my heat list. Let's keep going. Let's add some more people in and see where we go here. Okay, Chris King, who's somebody else you want on the list? And we can move up and down later, just somebody else that needs to be on the list. Okay. Chris, you there?
Oh, I just pulled a Rod. Couldn't
I was like, all
unmute
right.
myself.
Yeah,
Couldn't
so
unmute
let's
myself.
just
Becky
let's
Lynch,
just
the
actually
man. Becky Lynch.
Becky Lynch is going to be on. Oh, that's Alba Fire. Becky Lynch, and you know what? We're just going to throw people on here, and we're going to see if we need anybody else. Okay, Rod, who you got?
Well, I mean, that's ridiculous. You just put both of those people up there. Somebody that I believe needs to be at the top of this list against my better judgment is CM Punk. I have him coming in at 3 on my Heat list.
All right. So we've got CM Punk, Becky Lynch, and Sami Zayn. I don't understand how Jey Uso is still available. Jey Uso gets the entire crowd into everything that he does with his new with the yeetness. So Jey Uso is on the board for me. Who else we got? Chris King.
I still think this guy has a lot of heat behind him. I think he's still one of the better things going in the WWE. You guys can tell me I'm crazy all you want.
Crazy.
Drew McIntyre.
Of course.
No, I had McIntyre in the top 10.
I need to find Drew McIntyre. There he is. Okay. Rod.
I mean, I'm going to continue again saying that we're messing around here. Cody Rhodes has to be on this list. She probably has to be number 1. I mean,
why is Cody Rhodes? I mean, let's be honest.
I think that's one we wouldn't even argue about. I don't think any one of us would try to argue that somebody deserves to be at number 1 over Cody Rhodes coming out of WrestleMania. I mean, let's just be real.
Unbelievable. You know what? I want to
Speaking of, wait, Jimmy, hold on a second here.
Well,
for our video watchers here, Jimmy, give me camera here.
All right, give me a second.
Speaking of Cody Rhodes,
need to figure out how to do that.
Shout out to Cody Rhodes and the good people at Wheatley American Vodka. I was able to score this lovely Cody Rhodes promotional item here. So in honor of Cody Rhodes making number 1 on the Heat list, shout out to Cody Rhodes and the Wheatley Vodka and the good people at Belmont Beverage who were nice enough to hook me up with this poster.
Nice. All right, let's go back to the screen here.
All right. And Jimmy, before you start, I saw you moving Dirty Sanchez up there. All right, before you do that,
is Rusty Trombone on this list as well?
Yeah.
I think Mommy still deserves to be on this list.
Okay.
I know
I have her as well.
I know she's injured, but you can't deny the amount of heat she was bringing when she had to give up that belt. And that's very recent.
That was huge. I think now this is as of today. We have to remember as of today. So I think she is on the list probably, but she's not going to be as high as she would be if she wasn't injured. I agree with that.
Rod, no, wait a minute. See, I think we got to have this. We got to have this full discussion here. Either somebody's going to be on the list or they're not going to be on the list. Because I had Rhea at 2, but I don't have Roman on this list because I know he's going to be gone for a while and he took himself out of the draft. I don't have Seth Rollins on this list because is going to be gone for a while. I don't have Charlotte Flair on this list. So if Rhea's injured and gave up her title belt, and we're not going to have other people on here, or we're saying she's lower, I just think she should just be ineligible.
I think we have to have that discussion. We can put 2 people on one line. It's cool. We're going to have a fight here in a minute. But who else do you think needs to be on this list?
R-Truth.
Oh,
yes.
Nice.
Yeah, he was on my list.
I had R-Truth probably a little too low actually on my list.
And do we put it as Awesome Truth?
No.
We did this we've done this in the past.
I know, but I've conceded. I usually was the one to fight, and I've conceded. It needs to be individual.
Well, I think too, Chris. Without it's R-Truth and
exactly.
I
love the Miz, but
it's on for the ride.
Yeah, I love the Miz, but it's nothing. It's good to see him getting some semi cheers, even if it's because of R-Truth. But Miz is nothing.
What about Gunther?
I have Gunther at 10. I
think Gunther needs to be on that list still, right?
Yeah. All right, so listen, we got 10 people up on the board. I'm going to do this, all right, Jimmy, and you guys tell me where you have huge disagreements here, all right? Cody, Rhea, Punk, Jay, Orton, Becky Lynch, Sami Zayn, Drew, R-Truth, Gunther. That's my top 10.
All right, so basically I just need to add Randy Orton up there as somebody that we need in the list.
Because I just think Randy Orton gets tremendous pops. His music hits and people love it. He gets tremendous reactions to numerous things he does in the ring. I just think we need to give Randy Orton his respect.
Okay. So Rod has Cody Rhodes, Rhea Ripley. Who's third?
Punk.
Okay.
Jey Uso.
Okay.
Randy Orton.
Okay.
Becky Lynch. who becomes the first female if we're saying Rhea Ripley is ineligible. But then I feel bad about Becky being the first female at 6.
All right, so we have 11 people right now. I honestly, I can't have Rhea at 2. I love Rhea, but I can't have her at 2 right now. She's not there.
That's what I'm saying. I think all injured people need to be ineligible.
What do you think? Ineligible, Chris?
I can concede that. I still think, like, I didn't have her at 2. I had her close. I had her right at 6.
Okay.
But I can concede if they are injured and not on an active roster, then I can concede them not being eligible.
So
we can just make note of it, right? Like they have other people receiving votes in a top 25 poll. We can say at the time, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Charlotte Flair.
Honorable mentions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we just kind of move some people around here.
There's somebody I had on my list that's not up there yet.
Okay, who we got?
Logan Paul.
Oh, damn, I didn't even put him in my top 25.
Yeah, Logan Paul. I don't even know if he's on.
I'm sorry. You come into Kansas City and get to punch somebody with Patrick Mahomes' Super Bowl rings, and the crowd is going crazy. All right, that dude
I agree.
Gets the crowd moving every time he shows up.
I agree. Hey, for those of you watching, if you have somebody that you would like to add, or you think we're just completely out of it, throw it in the chat. We will definitely talk about what you have to say, what our heat list is. This is the heat list as of now. For those of you just joining, anyone who's injured is not eligible to be on the heat list. It's our top 10. We always do a top 10. LA Knight, not on the list at all right now.
I got him at 11. I have him at 11.
He was number 1 in October, and he has fallen all the way out of the top 10. And unfortunately, I kind of agree with that.
Part of that, I think, is the storylines he's been put into. Yeah. It hasn't been a situation for him to get over on anything. That being said, he was in my top 15. I would have him as an honorable mention. He still controls the crowd every time he does come out. You can't deny any of his control over the crowd. They get pumped anytime that music hits.
Chris, you're so right there. The only reason LA Knight continues to be on my list is because of his control over the crowd still, right? You can see that it's lessened a little bit, but then you can see that they still are like, yeah, okay, cool. Now I'm part of one of LA Knight's chant-alongs, and then people are right there. But dude can't wrestle. Neither one of you right now can tell me what his immediate future is, right? He just got beat by AJ Styles, who's now going in to get beat by Cody Rhodes. I mean, I love LA Knight, but I don't love LA Knight at the same time.
All right, so we have Cody Rhodes at number 1, CM Punk at number 2, Jey Uso at 3. Now, is this all about the entrance? Because I am a little worried about those matches. Does he have the heat in the matches as well, or does the entrance really give him?
No, what are you talking about? People love doing yeet when he hits somebody, right? People love doing that.
No, you're right. You're right.
People love the like he'll do the rock, right? And he'll spit on his hand and people pop for that. You know what I mean? Like people love the frog splash. Like we continue to undersell Jey Uso's ability to wrestle. We really do.
Oh, I agree with that. So hey, how about this? Let's talk about Dirty Dom.
No.
Has he run his course?
Yes.
I think if
you're resorting to people calling you Dirty Sanchez, you are grasping at straws. Okay, you are literally grasping at straws if now you have moved on to the portion of your existence where you are fine with people referring to you as Dirty Sanchez.
So is he out of the top 10? Is he maybe 10?
I don't think so.
I had him out of my top 10.
All right, Dirty Dom out of the top 10 then.
And here's why, is because he used to get booed anytime he tried to talk. Even if it was backstage, you would hear the crowd boo. We didn't hear that the last couple times he was talking backstage.
You know, we have one female on here. Let's just kind of throw out some other names. Do you see any of these females over any of these guys in here? Do you see Tiffany Stratton over any of these?
No.
See, she was in my honorable mentions along with Bailey.
I was going to say is Bailey, Tiffany Stratton, Bailey, Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair. Any of those four?
You guys are forgetting one. The highest ranked woman I have behind Becky Lynch, with Rhea Ripley being ineligible, is watch me. Liv Morgan, baby. The Liv Morgan Revenge Tour. Let's go. The crowd still loves Liv Morgan. And then she's also involved in heat with main card players. She's been second in the Royal Rumble the last 2 years. Liv Morgan is a big time main eventer on the women's side. They have a lot of want and need behind her to continue to be a big deal to round out that top of the roster. And I think we're not giving Liv Morgan enough credit here.
Okay, but does she have more heat than Gunther right now?
No, certainly not.
R-Truth. See,
no.
I mean, who we going over here?
You asked the question. I didn't say that I thought they needed to be in the top 10.
I said any of these four need to be in the top 10.
Well, then I didn't listen to you because
okay,
I have.
Well, shocking. All right, here we go. So, we're all good on Cody Rhodes at number 1? Are we correct on that?
Yeah, Cody's number 1.
CM Punk number 2. Chris, I have a feeling you're not sold on Punk at number 2, even though he's doing real well right now. Even though he's hurt, he's still around.
I don't want him to be at number 2, okay? But everybody keeps chanting his name every show they go to, and
people
it doesn't
won't leave
matter.
the arenas now till he comes out and talks. It's ridiculous.
So it's crazy that he is bringing it, and I still have only watched him wrestle one time, and he got hurt. So it's still kind of crazy to me that he is getting that much heat. You know, to me, this is a brand new guy. But yeah, I mean, I cannot argue about number 2.
All right, CM Punk number 2. Jey Uso at 3.
I don't think there's any male that can be higher than Jey Uso, and if we're not going to put a female above him, then it's got to be Jey Uso.
You guys can outvote me, but I get the entrance, but his matches are kicks and tackles. All right,
people like that though. Okay, so what? Well, who would you have above him though?
I'd probably put Randy Orton above him. Randy Orton has multiple moves that the crowd gets behind every single match. The crowd goes crazy as soon as they hear voices in their head. So that's probably who I'd put in front of Jay. I'd probably even put Sammy ahead of Jey Uso.
No way.
Yeah, I can see
merch, Chris. How many Yeet shirts are moving? How many Yeet sunglasses are moving, man? Pat McAfee jumps up on for who? He jumps up on the desk for Jey Uso.
Do we maybe do this instead? Maybe Orton up over Logan Paul?
I don't have Logan Paul on my list, so wherever you want to put Logan Paul makes sense to me because I just completely forgot about him. So to reevaluate all of my list and put Logan Paul in there would just jack me all up.
Let's. I think Gunther at 10, who is just people are in awe of him still, and I think that's a good place for him.
Nah, man, when that dude goes out for a promo where his need is to just get the crowd pissed, that dude can do it.
Yeah, oh, for sure. And I mean, and all he's an amazing sports entertainer.
So you want to talk about matches? That's the other reason why Gunther needs to be here. All right. Yeah. Anytime Gunther wrestles somebody, you're like, oh my God, Gunther's beating this guy within an inch of his life. You know what I mean? You're like, stop it, Gunther. Like that guy wrenches emotion out of every match that he does.
It's awesome.
Speaking of awesome, R-Truth, are we too low on him?
It's gimmicky. See, you got to worry about the gimmicky stuff, right? Like it's gimmicky. We all love R-Truth, and R-Truth can cut a great promo, but we all know it's
right now. It's about right now.
I do that if it's gimmicky. Then I think McIntyre is awesome. Well, but now, see, I think Logan Paul might be too high though.
See, this is me. I would put R-Truth ahead of Drew McIntyre. I would.
Well, because you're going to do that.
Because let me tell you this, it's every single time R-Truth is on the mic, never boring, always hilarious, delivers 100% of the time. My boy Drew can get a little bit long-winded and pouty sometimes on the microphone that doesn't go over all the way. Well,
What about his new all leather, like Judas Priest without the spikes attire, Chris? Were you a big fan of that?
I I have more issue with, let's say, Indian style and a kilt in the middle of the ring.
All right, so our top 10 right now for our audio listeners. Cody Rhodes is number 1, CM Punk number 2, Jey Uso number 3, Randy Orton number 4, Logan Paul number 5, Becky Lynch number 6, 7 is Sami Zayn, 8 is R-Truth, 9 is Drew McIntyre, 10 is Gunther. I think one thing about this list compared to our October list, 7 of the top 10 are not on the list anymore. Is that depth? Is that storyline? It could be a lot. Did people just fall off? Is that injury? It actually has a lot to do with injury, I think. But I think this list looks pretty good.
I have one more question.
Yes. Angelo Dawkins, I know.
Damian Priest. His name has not been brought up. He's wearing a belt. We were wondering if he was possibly a main eventer at the premium live event that is happening this weekend. He has been involved with the second most dominant storyline other than the Bloodline for the past 2 years. And are we honestly going to say that with Rhea Ripley injured and Dom Mysterio falling out and this man has a belt, no one from the Judgment Day is represented?
Who do you take off?
So I have Damian Priest with almost equal to Gunther. I had multiple lists where I had Priest and Gunther on there, all right, because I kind of like Priest, laying down the law in Judgment Day saying, hey, I don't need you, you need me. I kind of like that angle with Priest. I kind of like this Priest with the belt. I think people are getting behind this type of aggressive type of Damian Priest. So
I don't know if I'm going to go that far, but
okay. Well, here's the thing.
Seeing the turn at least.
Here's the thing. You got to take somebody off. Then who are you putting Damian Priest in?
I'm not going to cry if you take Logan Paul off, and I'm probably not going to fight you too much if you take Gunther off.
If you take anybody off, it'd be Gunther, but it's hard for me to take Gunther off this list. All right, he was my wrestler of the year above everybody else.
I love
all right,
Gunther. I could take Sami Zayn off this list too, actually, to tell you the truth.
I think Zayn is more over than Logan Paul. I think is Logan Paul more like just hatred, but not.
I think he's name.
What if? Okay, so Chris, I'm just asking questions.
He gets a reaction out of everybody, good and bad. Sami Zayn doesn't. You either love Sami Zayn or you don't really care, and you're not rooting against him really because he's not a bad guy.
The Logan Paul stand. I didn't ever think we'd live in a world where this was the Logan Paul stand.
You don't even have social media.
You have taught me that heat doesn't mean good.
No, it does not. No,
it doesn't mean cheers.
Oh, you're right.
Boos. So Logan Paul gets both. He gets people who love him and people who hate him because you either love him or hate him. There's no in the middle with Logan Paul.
No, you're right. Is it Becky Lynch then? Is it Becky Lynch? Here's my question then. Are we just trying to force a woman into this list? Are we just trying to force a woman into this list? And I'm not trying to be mad. I love the ladies. International Women's Day is one of my favorite years. I'm a feminist. I love the Mrs. Morgan. It should be a whole year. That's what I mean. See, it was a Freudian slip right there.
Let's go.
Freudian slip right there. But I think we're forcing it if we try to make Becky Lynch part of this.
I had Becky Lynch ahead of Sami Zayn. I had Becky Lynch also ahead of Gunther. I had Becky Lynch ahead of Damian Priest.
But if we're only doing 10, I don't want to cut any of those other people, and I guess I'd cut Becky Lynch, and I feel bad about that. A New York Times best-selling author and all, but sometimes
I don't think you can because she gets huge pops from the crowd whenever she comes out, and you can't deny that.
No, she does.
So are we cutting Randy Orton then?
Are we cutting Randy Orton?
No, I don't think we have to cut necessarily anybody. I think
it's got to be 10.
Damian Priest off.
I think we're leaving Damian Priest off. I think that's where we end up. I think you still keep Gunther at number 10. I still think
that's bad storytelling. Why'd we put a belt on this guy if he can't even be considered top 10?
I think
most of our other belts are represented here.
Wait, I think he's just not there yet. I think it was great how they gave him the belt, and I think they're moving in the right direction. He's just not quite there yet. But
all right, that's fine.
He's definitely in the top 15.
All right, there we go. Speaking of that, Jimmy, let's have some fun. All right, let's have some fun. How far did you guys go down? I went to 25. Jimmy, how far did you go down?
We were just doing 10, so I went down. I got 12, and I cut 2 people off.
Chris, how far did you go down for your list?
I had 20 total wrestlers on my list.
Okay.
Did Ricochet make your guys' list?
No.
Why did Ricochet at 19?
He's so good.
Did Sheamus make your guys' list?
Yes.
I had
See, he
Sheamus
didn't
at 23.
He wouldn't have been in my top 20.
Where
Not
did
yet.
Bailey land? Did Bailey get any consideration from you guys?
Yes.
Bailey was in my 15 to 20 that I just made up right now.
Liv
Chad
Morgan. Liv Morgan is the one I regret. She didn't make my list. You did. You forgot about Logan Paul. I forgot about Liv Morgan.
I think Jade Cargill's got to be up there too somewhere.
I had Jade at 22.
Maybe, I was going to say like 20, 19 right now.
I had Chad Gable at 15. Long live Chad
I think
Gable.
Gable's good. I think Gable's a good one as well.
Let's go.
Um,
Asuka at 24, just for you, Jim. I literally put Asuka on the list just for you.
Love me some Asuka. So that is our list, our top 10.
I got a question.
Oh,
I got
ahead.
a question.
Trying to wrap it up, Chris. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Question.
Real quick prediction. Next time we do a Heat list, who's on this list that's not on there right now?
Ooh.
Right off the hip.
Charlotte Flair.
Bianca Belair.
Braun Breaker.
Okay. Our top 10 Heat list for what is the date today? May 1st, 2024. Cody Rhodes, number 1. CM Punk, number 2. Jey Uso, number 3. Randy Orton, number 4. Becky Lynch, number 5. Logan Paul, number 6. Sami Zayn, number 7. R-Truth, number 8. Drew McIntyre, number 9. And Gunther, number 10. And with that, you have been listening to the Yeah We Know podcast, part of the Morgan You Know's podcast network. You're in the ring with Jimmy, Rod, and Chris.
Got a big week coming up on our sister, our brother, however you want to look at it, podcast here in the network feed. Mr. Josh Williams, our football handicapper, is going to be back giving us some thoughts on the draft. Chris and I and Dax Storm reappearing on the pod. We'll be chopping up the NBA playoffs. Yeah, the first Saturday in May is this weekend. The 150th running of the Kentucky Derby. Don't you think I forgot about it? We got some horse picks for you too. Let's go.
Goodbye, net. Yeah.